Hi, and welcome to this live Duolingo English Test speaking lesson. Today's lesson is a live lesson here on DET Ready VIP, and we're going to focus on how to begin your speaking answers and then how to speak for longer. Remember, to get a good score on the Duolingo English Test speaking questions, you need to speak for around 90 seconds per speaking question, which is, of course, quite a long time. So in today's lesson, I will show you some tips and tricks to make it easier for you. Okay, how does that sound? Well, let's get right into this live lesson. And of course, speaking in a second language is probably the most, well, speaking and writing at least are the most difficult things to do. Personally, for me, writing is the hardest in a second language, but I know a lot of people find speaking to be the hardest. I'm learning Korean. I've been learning for a long time. And yeah, I'm okay at speaking. I'm okay at listening, but writing, oh my God, terrible, terrible, terrible. All right, so today's lesson, all about speaking. So we're going to focus on how you can answer the speaking questions and then how you can speak for longer, which is important because for all of these English exams, you have to speak about a topic without any preparation for 90 seconds or up to 3 minutes, which is really tricky, actually, if you don't think about your preparation or think about how to plan your answer. So that's what we're going to do today. But quickly, just a quick knowledge question about the Duolingo test. Write in the chat, how many speaking questions are there on the Duolingo English test? And a bonus tough question, can you name them? Now, all I want to do is the focus on the speaking questions, which are open response, ones which require you to talk for a long time about a topic, not the reading ones. Okay, Sarah says three. Nima says three. Rachel, three. Yeah. Three questions. Jihan says that. Miriam, three. And can you name them? It's pretty, maybe you're not sure what the names are, but if you can name them, that's like a bonus point for you. Okay, Sarah says photo, read and speak, listen and speak. Yeah, yeah, almost there. Okay, great. Great, great, great. Well, here's the answer. Actually, there are four. There are four speaking questions. We have read then speak, listen then speak, the speak in sample, and lastly, speak about the photo. So read then speak, listen then speak, and the speak in sample are relatively similar. That you are speaking either about your experiences or about a topic, and speak about the photo is you describing a photograph. So that's a bit different. So in this course, in this series in December, we're not going to cover speak about the photo. I will do that in January when I cover the production school questions in general. That's going to be the theme for January. But this theme here in December is all about these three speaking questions. And I cover these three in one theme because they're kind of similar. You're talking about a topic or your personal experiences for 90 seconds or 3 minutes if you're for the speaking sample. Just a heads up, I'm not sure when you want to take your exam, but in my opinion, it's these speaking questions are likely to change from April 2025. Every April for the last 4 years, Duolingo have changed their exam. Every April, around the end of March, beginning of April, they've changed their questions. And for the last 3 years, they've been making these interactive questions. So we have interactive listening, interactive reading, and interactive writing. Interactive writing was released in April 2024. And my hunch is that there will be a new interactive speaking question this April. Just a heads up, if you're going to take your exam later, then I guess that interactive speaking will combine read then speak and listen then speak. That's my guess. My guess is that they'll come together. On the Duolingo practice test, if you complete a full practice test, at the end, sometimes they allow you to take experimental questions. And I did that, and I took a interactive speaking question. It's just their kind of beta model, so just the first draft. So it will change a lot, but it was a combination of read then speak. Basically, you're having a conversation with someone, and sometimes you read the response from your partner, and other times you listen. So it's kind of a combination of both. So just a heads up, if you're taking it after April, I think this will change a lot. So is anyone here going to take the exam after April? Probably not, right? Can you write yes or no in the chat? Are you taking it after April or before April? Jihan said no, no, no. Yeah, good. Okay, so in that case, this course is really useful because we will focus just on what is currently on the exam. Yeah, currently on the exam, we have these 4 speaking questions. Federico said, hopefully not. Yeah, hopefully not too, but just a heads up. Just a quick task. So we have these 3 speaking questions: read, then speak, listen, then speak, and the speaking sample. Which one is the hardest for you? You can just write the number in the chat, 1, 2, or 3. Okay, Federico said, listen, then speak. Sarah, number 2 or number 3. Ramesh says number 2. 3. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's good to know. Listen then speak is tricky because you have to listen and understand and remember. And the speaking sample is tricky because you have longer to speak for, and there's the extra pressure because your answers will be submitted to the universities you're applying to. So, the university admissions teams can also see your watch and listen to your speaking. So that's a bit of extra pressure. Okay, Jihan says 2 as well. All right, so let's go through some of the key points just to remind you. So read then speak looks like this. You get a topic, talk about something, and then you have several questions to answer. You have 20 seconds prep time for this. Like I said, you get a topic, your favorite restaurant, plus 3 or 4 questions to answer. And Duolingo have stated in the past that they are they are looking for you to answer all parts of the question. So it is important to make sure you do answer all part 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to spend a long time on it, but you should try to answer each one. Usually for read then speak, you are talking about your experiences. Normally, you get a question like this: talk about your favorite restaurant. Talk about a book that influenced you. Talk about a movie you watched as a child. Talk about a trip you went on. No, talk about a memorable trip. These types of questions. They're normally experience-based, where you are telling your personal story about the topic, just like you see here. So talk about your favorite restaurant. Where is it? What type of food does it serve? How often do you go there? And why is it your favorite? It's very personal. It's based on your experience. And you have to speak for between 30 and 90 seconds for this. 30 seconds is the minimum, 90 seconds is the maximum. But to get a good score, you need to speak for at least 80 seconds, in my opinion, but try to speak for the whole amount. Okay, next up, we have listen then speak. This is a bit different because rather than reading the question prompt, you listen to it. So again, you have 20 seconds. This is not preparation time. This is listening time. You have 20 seconds to listen. The question plays automatically, but you can click the speaker icon and listen 2 more times, which means you have 3 times in total to listen to the question prompt. That's all within 20 seconds. So you don't listen and then have 20 seconds to plan. It is all together. So you have 20 seconds to listen and think. It's pretty tricky. This for listen then speak, Most of the questions you get are not about your experiences, but rather about a topic. You got to talk about something. So, for example, talk about environmental pollution in the place where you live. What causes it and what are the effects? How can it be controlled? This was a sample question from the Duolingo test guide. So, of course, this is a real past question. This, of course, you can see is a topic. It's not really asking about your personal experience. You're talking about a topic. However, like I'll show you later, you can still talk about your own experiences within this topic, but it's topic based. And again, you have to speak for between 30 and 90 seconds. Tricky. This one's tricky because you don't have any preparation. You have to listen during your preparation time. Another thing I should tell you is you get this one twice on the exam. For read, then speak, you get it one time on the exam. For listen, then speak, you get it twice on the exam. And the last speaking question is called the speaking sample. For this one, you have 30 seconds to prepare. Preparation means reading and preparing. So you don't have, even though 30 seconds is longer, it's still short. It goes by very quickly. And the questions for read and, the questions you get for the speaking sample are quite a lot longer than the other questions. As you can see here, this is a sample question, again, from the Duolingo test guide. As you can see, it's quite a long question. So you've got to read it and think about it and plan it within the 30 seconds. Again, it's topic based. It's not normally your experience, but it is topic based. So, for example, here, information comes from many sources. Describe a time when you filtered out. Well, I guess this is kind of a mixture. It's topic based plus your experience. What makes this question particularly hard is that your answer is graded by Duolingo. So it goes towards your production score and also your final score. But on top of that, it is sent to your university. When you apply to your uni and you submit your Duolingo results, they get your scorecards plus your writing and your speaking sample. That adds a lot more pressure. A little bit of insider knowledge. I used to work at a university in Korea, in South Korea, and we would get lots of applicants from like the IELTS test or sometimes Duolingo. And admissions teams and the teachers who kind of review students are really busy. So actually, even though this is sent to the university, my hunch is that most won't really watch it. They might only watch a few seconds just to check it's you and check like your kind of the first impression of your English. But I don't think they'll watch it that carefully. They'd rather trust Duolingo to give it a reliable score. So even though this is sent, my guess is they won't really watch it thoroughly. Most when you work for a university, like you get a lot of admissions every semester, like hundreds and hundreds. So it's impossible to watch them all. So just even though it's sent, just a heads up, they might not really watch it. Take some pressure off yourself. Yeah, and this was the question, like I said. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to pause for a minute. Do you have any questions about the types of speaking questions you get on the Duolingo test before I start thinking about how you can begin your answer and how to speak for longer? You can, if you want to, you can raise your hand and you can speak to me, or you can write your questions in the chat. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, I'm going to assume. Oh, I'm assuming not. So, yeah, thank you, Miriam. Just a quick heads up. So the way I'm going to run this speaking series in December, Monday will be a lesson from me, and then Thursday when I do my other lesson, that will be a feedback session. So Monday a lecture, lesson, and then Thursday, a feedback session. So if you come on Thursday, I'll give you the chance to answer a question. I will use a really good AI tool I'll show you to give you grammatical feedback and pronunciation feedback. And then I will also give my own feedback as well. You don't have to stay for the whole lesson because you'll be listening to a lot of people, but come and be prepared to, speak and get some feedback. That's every Thursday. So just to clarify, Monday, lecture, lesson, and then on Thursday, a feedback session. I'm experimenting. We'll see how it goes. Does that sound good? Any thumbs up or? Yeah, good. Okay, thank you guys. Just a quick question. Sarah said, "Is the speaking counted in the mock test?" My answer is, I'm not sure. I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't think so, actually. I don't think so because I've had some students in the past who have done the practice tests without doing any speaking or writing, which means then, of course, but when they get their end score, it's kind of the same. So my guess is that it's not. Also, if you think from Duolingo's business point of view, grading speaking and writing is really expensive. Actually, it uses lots of like computing power and AI power, which is really expensive. So my guess is it's not though. Yes, there we go. Thursday is a practice session. Okay, well, let's carry on. So we're going to talk about how to begin your answer. When I was a real teacher in the past, I suppose I am a real teacher, but I used to be a teacher in the classroom. I used to help students with their IELTS and TOEFL exams. Most students really struggled with beginning their answer. So this is kind of an easy thing to overcome if you just learn a few little techniques and phrases and also have some practice, of course. And yeah, sometimes beginning is the hardest. When you get started, you can speak for a long time, but actually starting is a bit tricky. So let's talk about that now. So I'm going to go through a bunch of phrases you can use, and you can try to memorize these when you begin your answers. I'll also be showing you some sample questions. Okay, so phrase number one, you can say, the one thing I'd like to talk about. For this one, at the start, you basically summarize the question. Describe something you do to stay healthy. I do many things that contribute to a healthy lifestyle, but the one I'd like to talk about is. This is a good phrase to use. You're talking about something specific. You're talking about the topic, but then you're mentioning and talk about one specific thing throughout your answer. Number two, my favorite was. Sometimes you get questions like this. Describe a book you read at school. So, my favorite was. I read several good books when I was at school, but my favorite was The Lord of the Rings. Again, phrases you can use to begin your answer smoothly. I'll mention again, basically you summarize or you kind of paraphrase the task, and then you use one of these phrases to go into extra detail and be more specific. Now, number three, I'd like to talk about a very simple one. I'd like to talk about the book series, Harry Potter, since it was my favorite and the most popular book series when I was in school. Another phrase to begin your answers. Number four, personally, I'd have to say. So, for example, talk about the meaning of happiness for you. Personally, I'd have to say that being happy is a feeling of satisfaction with your life. You use this one and then you summarize or you paraphrase the topic. Five, the one thing who or that stands out is. For example, in this type of question, describe the best teacher you ever had. Again, summarize. I've been lucky enough to have several really good teachers, but the one who stands out is. And then my first sports teacher, because he taught me to believe in myself. Yeah, I'll show number three. I'm going quickly, but I will show you them all at the end, of course. Number three is I'd like to talk about. And of course, if you're new to VIP, you might not know, I always upload all the recordings and all the PDFs for you to watch and download later. The phrase stands out is a good one to use because it is a phrasal verb. To stand out means something that's exceptional or very good, memorable. It's a phrasal verbs and is an idiomatic. They are idiomatic by nature. So this is another good thing to do for your vocabulary. And an easy one, I'm going to talk to you about. You can use you, even though you're talking to the computer. You can still use you. That's fine. So describe the best teacher you ever had. I'm going to talk to, oh, I'm going to talk to you about my first sports teacher because he had a profound impact on my life. Here are the phrases. There are six. Of course, there are loads and loads more, but I recommend you use one of these phrases to begin your answer because they allow you to summarize the topic and go into more detail or be more specific by using one of these phrases. Summarize and then a phrase to be more specific to answer the question directly. That's a simple way to begin. Like I mentioned, something like this. I'm going to talk to you about, and then you can just begin your answer. So, like I said, a lot of students I've met in the past, they really struggle with just getting started. But once they are speaking, they become more and more confident. At the time, you can memorize some useful phrases like this, and that will help you a lot. Then what you can do is try to extend your answer. This is all about the introduction, right? This is all about beginning. So you can extend your answer. You can just say something like this: I've chosen something because, and then you can say why you've chosen to talk about that. So, in a full example, I've read several good books when I was a school student, but my favorite was The Lord of the Rings. Okay, summarize the topic and now go in specific. I've chosen to talk about this book because I've actually read it more than 3 times. One of the important things when you are taking this Duolingo test for the speaking questions is you need to really elaborate or extend your answers as much as possible. If you just speak like kind of in a normal way, then it's really difficult for you to speak for the whole 90 seconds. Instead, you've got to think about how you can extend and develop and speak for more about each idea you're talking about. So, like this, like here, just a very simple one. I'm describing the book. My favorite was, and I've chosen to talk about this because. And you can talk as much as you want to then about that. And after you've done that, then you could start answering the 3 questions. So we're going to focus mostly on read and speak, and then in a bit later we'll focus on listen then speak. But for read then speak, you have three or four questions to answer. And Duolingo have said in the past that they do want you to answer all parts of the question, part one, part two, and part three. And on top of that, discourse coherence is on the scoring criteria. That means like the smoothness of your answer, also known as fluency. Therefore, it's really important that when you answer these 3 questions, you are able to transition from each one as smoothly as possible. And here are a bunch of phrases you can use for that. So you can jump around for each part of the question by using any of these phrases. So, in regard to the second question, turning to the third question, moving on to the next question, as for the final question, or even returning to the first question. You can use the one returning to go back to question one or question two, anything that was prior. Then you can talk about that question again. Like I mentioned, the fluency and discourse coherence is on the scoring criteria, which is all about the smoothness of your answers. Quick question. Tenses. Federico says, should he use a mix between the simple present and present perfect? You can, I suppose, if it's yeah, you can do that if it's relevant, for sure. Okay, so just to see it in a sample answer. So I'm returning now to the second question. So returning to the second question, I'm going to talk about that point again. I would like to add that low income families are not the only ones who can receive government support, but also elderly people with disabilities can receive similar assistance. So going backwards, you can use this type of phrase and it'll show fluency and it'll show smoothness in your answer rather than just saying, oh, I forgot to talk about something. You can say returning to some questions. So just to clarify before I move on to another method, phrases, where are they? Here. Begin using a phrase like this to generalize the topic and then go into specific details. A good way to begin. And then you would like to expand on your answer or extend your answer by using this simple structure. I've chosen to because. I've chosen to talk about this book because. I've chosen to discuss my teacher because. I've chosen to talk about, you know, the best movie I saw when I was a kid because. And doing that allows you to speak for longer and extend your answers. Then, when you begin answering your questions, you want to go from all the points, point one, point two, point three. And to do that, you should try to use these phrases because it allows you to move easily between all the questions and it allows you to do it smoothly. Once you've done that, then you can think about speaking for longer. So this is all about kind of answering the questions directly, but you need to also speak for up to 90 seconds. I would really recommend speaking for as long as possible. And then for that, you could think about this PPF method. I'll talk about that in 1 second, but in the meantime, does anyone have any questions? I can see a couple. So Rachel said, will the questions stay on the screen? Yes, they will. For read, then speak, and the speak and sample, you can see the questions, but not for listen and speak. Yeah. Okay, just I'm gonna pause. We will talk about another method to help you really extend and speak about your answers for as long as possible. But in the meantime, do you have any questions so far? Federico says, can I explain, please explain when I should use will and when I should use would? Ah, yes, good question. Will is factual, like I will do it in the future. You use that to talk about a future action. Will and be going to are really similar, but being going to is like a planned action in the future, and will is a spontaneous action in the future. Like I will talk about. Would, on the other hand, is more about hypothetical situations. Like if I had the chance, I would do something. Like it's not real. It's not real. That's when we use would more often. Also, sometimes we to make things a bit more confusing, sometimes we use would to be polite. Like I would do it. Like is like I'm not going to, but I would do it if I had the time. I'm not going to. It's just a way to be polite. I hope that helps. But those grammar ones, would especially, is quite a tricky modal verb. Jian said maybe this example comes on the exam. Maybe, but probably not because I got all these examples from the Duolingo practice questions on the website. And if they're on the practice questions on the website, I don't think it'll come on the exam. Okay, moving on. All right, so we are now gonna so far we've talked about how you can kind of introduce your idea and expand on that and then use transition phrases to answer the questions directly. Now let's think about another method for speaking longer. It's called the PPF method. I've talked about this a lot of times, and so if you have joined these lessons in the past, you've probably heard me talk about it. That said, it is important, and it is what a lot of teachers around the world teach to their IELTS students or TOEFL, because it's a really easy way for you to speak for longer about a simple topic. PPF, do you know what it means? What does PPF stand for? Can you write it in the chat? If you joined my free lesson last week on Friday, I also covered this a little bit. Today, though, we will be going into more detail and I'll show you how you can use the different types of grammar specifically. So Naeem says past, present, and future. Yeah, everyone's got it right. Noir, present, past, future. Yeah, great. Great. And it's a framework for thinking about an idea and expanding on it by talking about the same point in the present, past, and future. It's not a strict methodology. You do not need to do it. And if you want to, you can just talk about the present and future, or past and future, or present and past. It doesn't need to be very strict, but it's a really good mindset to have because it really does enable you to speak for longer. So I'm just going to go through some questions and then, yeah. So this is for a read, then speak question type, and it's quite an easy one. Describe your favorite subject in school. That's an easy question. And the first point is, what is it? So you'll have done your introduction, right? The easy one, expanded on it. Then you're going to answer the first one. And you can use this PPF method even for a really simple question like this, called what is it? So maybe start in the past. So I'm not in school anymore, obviously, but so I can say something like this. I'm not in school anymore, but when I was in high school, my favorite subject was history. At the time, I was totally fascinated by this subject, and I even formed the first history club in my school. True story. Okay, then that's quite short, right? That was like 10 seconds, maybe less. So I want to now talk about it in the present to make my answer longer and expand on it. So the present. I don't currently study history in school anymore since I graduated a few years ago. More than a few years ago, but you know what I mean. But even though I don't study it in a formal way, I still enjoy reading lots of books and watching documentaries about different historical events. Okay, present, right? Present. Now, to talk even more about this simple idea, I can talk about it in the future. And in the future, I'm going to try to go on vacation to historical cities like Cairo and Rome to learn more about the history of these famous ancient cities. So you can see, right? Past, present, future. This very simple answer now is going to take probably 40 seconds to speak. So that's really amazing. I've taken a really simple idea, one which would have in the just using the basic answer would have been 10 seconds long, and I've talked about it in the past, present, and future. Now my answer is like 40 seconds long. It's just an easy way to expand on your answers. On top of that, you're going into detail, which Duolingo want to see. And even on top of that, you're using different grammar throughout each point in different tenses. So yeah, it's really useful. It hits lots of the scoring criterias on these English exams. And that's just for point one. Let's move on to point two. Okay. Again, present. I enjoy. Why do you like it? So I can say moving on to the second question. I enjoy studying history because I find it fascinating to learn about the most influential people who have ever lived and learn about the events that have shaped our society. Okay, that's present. Why do you like it? Of course, it's a present question. Now a past. My interest in history first began when I watched the kids' TV series Horrible History. This was a great TV show for kids explaining some funny and not so pleasant parts of history in an easy and enjoyable format. Okay, past. Why did I like it in the past? And now in the future, I am pretty sure I will always be interested in history and will continue to read books and watch documentaries about it. You can see, right? Very simple question. My answer is expanded and extended and developed really deeply, just using a mindset of present, past, and future. Just to clarify, you do not need to do this for every point of the read then speak questions or any of the other speaking questions. It's just a mindset to have, like a technique you can use if you need to speak for longer. It's not a strict format, but it is a very helpful one. So, yeah, and then of course, for point question 3 and 4, I could also use it if I wanted to. Again, I don't need to, but I could if I wanted to. So that these were read then speak questions. You can even use this for a listen then speak question. Remember, listen then speak questions are typically more topic based. They don't ask you directly about your experiences. However, you can still talk about it. You don't have to just be factual. You can definitely talk about your own personal experiences even in these types of topic based questions. So this was the example question on the test on the Duolingo test guide. Talk about environmental pollution in the place where you live. What causes it and what are the effects? How can it be controlled? So I could talk about this in the present, past, and future. So in the present, littering is a big cause of environmental pollution where I live, and it's something I notice a lot in my city. Nowadays, it seems like people have a habit of littering quite a bit, and unfortunately, this really contributes to more waste piling up and adds to environmental pollution. Because of this, you'll often see streets scattered with trash, which makes the whole place look messy and not so appealing. It's kind of sad because it doesn't take much to just throw things in the bin. The more litter there is, the worse the area looks, and it just creates this unpleasant vibe all around. So I've answered it in the present. This is quite long, 25 seconds or so. But to talk longer, I want to develop my idea. I'll then talk about it in the past and in the future. In the past, when I was younger, people seemed to care more about keeping our city clean. There wasn't much litter on the streets, and people made an effort to throw their trash in bins. Over time, though, this sense of responsibility has faded. Now there's a lot more litter, and it feels like people don't care as much about their surroundings anymore. It's a big change from how things used to be. Future, I hope that the government steps in soon with stricter laws to stop littering. Stronger rules and bigger fines might make people think twice before throwing trash on the streets. With stricter laws, we could start to see cleaner streets and less pollution. That was the future, right? I hope. Again, that's what I want to emphasize here is when you want to speak for longer, you can talk about a really simple idea like littering for maybe 1 minute or longer just by using this PPF method. Is really helpful. Same for here, a very simple question. You can talk about it for a long time and you can develop your answers really easily. It's a really useful technique to think about. Of course, though, grammar, we need to talk, grammar is important. uh, so again, with the PPF, you're talking about your ideas in the past, present, and future, which means you'll use different grammatical tenses throughout your answer. Present tenses, past tenses, and future tenses, maybe even hypothetical tenses like would or the second conditional, or things like that. So we'll look at that in 1 second, some grammar to use. But in the meantime, do you guys have any questions about this PPF method? Do you think it's useful? Do you think it's useful, and do you think you could use it yourself? Two points. Is it useful? And when you do your own answers, are you able to use it when you try? What do you think? Rachel says it is, and with more practice, I can. Yeah, absolutely. With practice, you need it. Yeah, you need to practice, of course. These Duolingo and IELTS test speaking questions is kind of performative. It's not natural. It's not like you're naturally speaking. It's definitely more of like a performance. It's yeah. So practicing is the best thing. Yeah, Inez says useful needs time. Federico, time. Yeah, just to be clarified, just to clarify, when you say time, I'm not sure if you mean time to practice or time in your answer, but you don't need to use it like, all of you don't need to answer with the past, present, and future for everything. Like I said, it's just a mindset, something to consider doing if you run out of ideas or want to speak for longer. Federica says it's time and speaking in three tenses is a bit tough. Yeah, I understand that, of course. Okay, some grammar time then. Let's look at some grammar. So the PPF, of course, you will be using grammar in the past, present, and future, which is really good because grammar is on the scoring criteria. So it will demonstrate your wide range of grammatical skills naturally. Um, Here, I'm not gonna read each grammatical tense, but I've just broken it up for you. And this will be down. You can download this PDF right after this lesson and you can practice for yourself. But these are all the different types of tenses. So, present tense, we have present simple, present continuous, present perfect simple, and present perfect continuous. So, here they are. So, present simple, there's three different types. For example, I understand French, but don't speak it very well. This is used for state verbs. Okay, like verbs like love, like, or belong. I study in the evenings is like a habitual action. Or my best friend comes from India. This is a fact. So this is when we use like present simple. Present continuous is for an action taking place right now. Like I'm studying English to pass the exam. Or you can also use it for the future. I'm attending my graduation party next Friday. This is a future action that has already been arranged, and in your mind, it's 100% going to happen. We use the present continuous for that. So I'm not going to go through all of this. It'll take me a long time and it'll be a bit boring. Instead, what I would like you to do is for homework, is to download this and read it and try to understand the different types of tenses. Of course, this is present, this is past. So we get the past simple, past continuous, past perfect simple, and past perfect continuous. And the usage here and examples. And lastly, of course, we have the future going to, will, future continuous, future perfect simple, or future perfect continuous. These are a bit tricky to use, especially these last three, but they are, well, it's in English grammar, so you should learn them. Quick question. When you were in school, did you learn these grammar tenses like this? I assume you did, so I'm just gonna put it here as a review for you rather than teaching it. Yeah, Inhe says that she struggles with the perfect tenses. Inhe, can you change the blue button on your chat to everyone so we can all see your question? Inhe, I guess Inhe is from South Korea. It sounds like a Korean name. Um, yeah, the perfect tenses are tricky for sure. For example, even the present perfect simple is tricky. It's like an action that has happened in the past, but it's still, yeah, I'll do a few now, but still affects the present. For example, I have been to India, or I have been to Japan, I have been to Argentina, right? I did that in the past, but that experience is still with me now. So we use the present perfect for that. If I was dead, then I would say I went to India because I'm dead. The experience is gone from me. But we use it to talk about something that happened in the past, but still affects the present. We often use the perfect tenses to talk about our experiences. That's really, really common. Okay, like I said, this will be uploaded to VIP immediately after this lesson. Yes, Naheem, I will upload this my whole PDF directly to VIP as soon as this lesson is finished. What I'll do as well, I will also make this chart into a different PDF and upload it to the resources for you. Okay, next one. So PPF, phrases to begin your answers. So when you are talking about the present, past, or future, it's important that you indicate that you're now talking about the past or you're now going to talk about the future. Otherwise, it comes a little bit difficult to understand. So here are just a bunch of phrases you can use, and we call them time introductions. Time being the past, present, and future. These are time related. So for the past, you can say last week or last month or last year, and then you can begin your answer. Or a few days ago, a few years ago, then begin your answer. Or when I was something, and then use the past tense. When I was in school, I used to play soccer all the time, or football every day, that type of thing. So, for example, here, when I was a kid, I watched Lion King every day after school. Last year, I watched James Bond and I loved it. Okay. So, these are some time introductions to talking about the past. For the present, we have these time introductions. So, currently, yeah, Federico says adverbs of time. Yeah, right. These are adverbial phrases for sure. For the present, we have currently or I'm currently, these days, nowadays, at present, or right now. Uh, Quite simple ones, but when you are going to talk about the present, it's useful to use these to show that you're now talking about the present. It indicates it's like a signpost. And native English speakers use these all the time without thinking because it makes it easier to be understood. I'm sure I'm sure in your native language, you use these without even thinking as well. So currently, I'm working at an IT company. At present, I'm focusing my attentions on my studies. Right now, I don't have as much time, blah, blah, blah. And lastly, the future, a bit different, but you can use the grammar, going to and will, or you can use a lot of other phrases. English, actually, to talk about the future, we use phrases more than the grammar. So rather than say I'm going to, we sometimes say I plan to, I hope to, I'm set to, I'm about to, I intend to, or in the near or distant future, or I'm going to do something any day now. These are a lot more phrases. These are a lot more common than just using going to or will. So, for example, I plan to go abroad to improve my English. I'm set to take my final exams. In the near future, I'm going to do my best to get a job, or I'm going to start studying any day now. These almost all have the same meaning, but I'm set to by here, or I'm about to, is a lot more um, confirmed. Like it's planned. Like it's going to happen. It's already in your diary. You're ready to do it. So that's it. For example, I'm set to teach a lesson to you guys on Thursday. Like it's scheduled in. I'm definitely going to be there. It's a lot more specific and a lot more dedicated. Okay. So where are we? Okay, so yeah, in this lesson, we looked at how to begin your answer, how to extend your introduction and then how to move from question to question. and looked at the PPF method for speaking for longer and longer and longer during your speaking questions. This is particularly important. I really emphasize that. It's essential you try your best to speak for at least 90 seconds, at least 75, 80 seconds. Try to speak for the whole time. Also, different than writing, when you're speaking on the Duolingo test, you don't need a conclusion. You can just keep speaking. It doesn't need to be concluded. The writing questions do, but speaking is a lot more informal and a lot more messy than writing. So you do not need a strict structure and you do not need to conclude your answer. You can just keep speaking until the time runs out. That's fine. Thursday's lesson is all about your practice. So I will upload several questions. I'll do it today. I'll upload several questions to VIP, ones we will use in our Thursday lesson. Depending on how many people join, you can give a sample answer for at least one, but maybe two or three. Depends how many people join and want to actually participate. But just come and you can give your speaking answer. I will use an AI tool. It's called Elsa Speak. It's really useful. That grades your grammar and vocabulary just like the AI will on Duolingo. And then I'll also give you some feedback as well myself. We'll do that at least one per person. But if there's time, you can do two or three. So that'll be really useful. That's going to be on Thursday. So join that, and I will be trying to encourage you to use the PPF method to speak for a lot longer during your speaking answers. Okay, I'm going to stick around for 5 minutes. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Rachel, so for this lesson, the video recording and the PDF will be uploaded under recordings. So just on the left-hand side on your laptop, you'll see a task menu. Underneath live lessons, there'll be recordings, and I upload all the recordings with PDFs there. For the questions, I will probably upload them in the resources section. Hope that helps. Jihan, thank you. Inhei, thank you. Inhei, are you from South Korea? Can you let me know? I think as a Korean name, I think. Yeah. 안녕하세요. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Rachel, yes, I'll unmute you now. Let me just check any more questions. Ramesh, yesterday you registered for practice test. Okay, it takes about 24 hours. So check. I will use it I will it will be done within 24, 48 hours. You might need to log out and log back in. So check that. Rachel, I will answer your question. Rachel, oh. Rachel, do you want me to unmute you now? Okay. Sarah, give me one
Thank you.
second. I will check your answer. Hi, Rachel.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think when I joined the last time, I was saying that I needed to write by the 14th of this month,
Okay.
but I've seen that I still need some practice. So I wanted to know that will I still be able to write within the Christmas, because I need to submit my results latest by the 2nd or by the 1st of January. Can I write maybe like the Christmas season?
Yes, you can. The only issue is that Duolingo's an American company and they normally take time off around Christmas time. I
Oh,
know that it is, no, you will be able to do it. I just think the results might not be delivered as promptly as normal.
okay. So now if I want
I
to,
think you should ask the Duolingo team specifically, because they might be committed to working throughout the Christmas holidays. but I'm not so sure. I remember, I'm not sure if it was last year or the year before. Some of my students had their results delayed because of the holiday season. So I
Okay.
would
So
double check that with the
I'll
Duolingo team if they are committed to the 48-hour test turnaround.
okay, I will. But now, if I want to, let's say, write by the 14th or maybe 16th, when do
Yeah.
I have to register?
Oh, you can register right away. You have once you've registered, you have 21 days to take the test.
Oh, so I can even register now
Yeah, yeah, you can. Yeah, of course. Yeah. You
and
can
then choose
you
any day.
Yeah, you can on any day and any time. Yeah, that's the best thing about this exam is it's totally flexible. So you can take the test anywhere, anytime.
Okay.
The only
Maybe
problem,
I'll
what I
read.
was trying to mention is around Christmas time and the New Year, in the UK and in America, people don't work much. So
Okay.
even though Duolingo is a lot of AI marking, they still have human proctors and human
Okay.
evaluators as well. So it might be slower than normal. That's my point.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
no problem. My pleasure.
And the registration process, I have to go to the website to do that.
Yeah, yeah. EnglishTest.duolingo.com, I believe. Or you know it. Just Google Duolingo English Test and then you can find it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, great. Okay. No problem. Okay, I'll answer some of the other questions quickly. Where are we? Vivina says, what prompt can we use to practice with ChatGPT? Yeah, great question. I'll write something in the chat for you and you can use it. You say something like this. I am an ESL learner. That's important to put. You are an ESL learner, English as a second language. I'm an ESL learner. This is my speaking answer for the Duolingo English test. Please rate it on the CEFR scale and Duolingo English. This is a good prompt to use, something like this, because you want to use the CEFR scale because that's really common and the AIs know that very well. The Duolingo test is still relatively new, so they haven't got a lot of information or data on that yet. On the CEFR scale is A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, etc. So you can find a comparison on the Duolingo test website. That's good. Okay, where was I? Federico says the explanation of the future perfect continuous. Yes, okay. Yeah. So, okay, Federico, I'll give you an example. In 10 years, we will have been living on Mars. Something like that. No, maybe how about this? In 100 years, yeah, I'm thinking on the top of my head. In future perfect continuous. In 100 years' time, we will have been living on Mars for 10 years. Okay. It's a bit tricky to explain just with my hands, but in 100 years' time, so all the way, sorry, well, yeah, this way, all the way over here, we will have been living on Mars for 10 years. So when did we arrive on Mars? 90 years ago, right? 90 years in the future. So you're talking about a unfinished action in the an ongoing action in the future, but that hasn't happened yet. If that makes sense. One more time. In 100 years' time, so in 100 years, we will have been living on Mars for 10 years. So 100 years, we're talking about this point, but we will have been living on Mars from here 90 years. So 10 years. Does that make sense? It's a bit tricky to explain without my whiteboard. Okay. Zora says, in VIP, there is a video still coming soon. Which one? The free lesson? If it's the free lesson, yes, I haven't uploaded that yet. I need to edit it a lot. It was a bit messy at the start. Is that what you mean? Coming soon would be on Zora. The coming soon ones will be the live lessons that are scheduled for this Thursday and next week and next week. Okay. In here, I purchased VIP course end of November or attend in December. Is it possible to attend? Yeah, in here, I think so. My last lesson on in December is on the 31st, and that's a feedback session. I'm going to take the Christmas week off. I need a break myself. So I'll by the 27th, most of the lessons will have been finished. If you only want one more lesson and I want to cancel, so just cancel the VIP and then email me and I will give you the link so you can join that one extra lesson for free, of course, if you want to do that. Does that make sense? But you have to email me because I'll forget if you don't mind. Uh, Lo- Lokaka, may I know how they make the points? What do you do when they normally deduce points on lowest grade? So the score, I think Lokaka is talking about the scoring criteria. Um, so it's all scored on like a sliding scale. So it depends on the quality of your answers. Um, yeah, make it so things that lower your points, for example, would be in speaking would be too many ums and ahs, too much repetition, repeating yourself too many times, and not answering the question fully and not speaking for the whole time. Those are kind of things that lower your points. So to improve your speaking score, try to speak confidently, loudly, clearly, not too many ums or ahs. Don't repeat yourself and talk about different topics talk about different ideas as much as possible and speak for at least 80 seconds, in my opinion. Okay, thanks, guys. I can see two more questions. So, Ramesh, I have one doubt. I need to submit before January 1st. I'll take the test in the 14th. Yeah, I think if you take okay, I'll tell you. If you take the test on December 14th, you will get your results before January 1st for sure. Yeah. I'm just saying that Duolingo is an American company and I know their workers are in America and they do take time off around Christmas, but I don't know if they will. I'm just guessing. So if you want to contact Duolingo using the help button on their website, you can ask them that question and they will tell you for sure. But I am 99.9% sure if you did the test on December 14th, you will get your results before January 1st. I'm going to say 100%, 100%, because they have a 48-hour window. And so, where are we? So Sarah says, how do I learn grammar and use it naturally? Well, yeah, that's every language, right? Every language learner wants to learn how to use grammar really naturally and like a native speaker. It's tricky. You need to learn about for grammar. There are three things you should learn. One is the rules, like the structure of the words, like the grammar. Second thing is when to use it. So that in that chart I showed you, it had the example and the usage column. The usage column is when to use it, like in what situation to use this grammar. And the third thing you need to know is the pronunciation, like how to pronounce it and speak it naturally. So three things. What did I say? Three things: the grammar, the structure, the usage, like when to use it, and then thirdly, for speaking, the pronunciation, how to pronounce it and speak it quickly and naturally. Those are three things. Sora says recording writing lesson 4. Oh, number 4. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I use a Zoom for these lessons, and there was an issue. There was a bug, so lesson 4 didn't download to my laptop. So lesson 4 is not available. I should change the text. I'm sorry. That was unavailable. Federico, yeah, personal experience. We'll talk about that in a different lesson, but yeah, you can use that too. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go now. But thank you for all attending. Again, on Thursday's lesson, please come. I will ask you to raise your hand on Zoom and speak out your answer, and I will be using some AI tools to give you some grading feedback. One per, at least one per person. And if there's enough time, you can try two or three answers, but it depends. Um, and you don't have to stay for the whole lesson. You can come, speak your answer, and then you can leave. That's fine. But yeah, that's my experiment for this month is Monday will be a lesson like today, Thursday feedback. Monday lesson, Thursday feedback. I hope that's helpful. And I'm trying to hire a new teacher to do more lessons, so there'll be more lessons on VIP. So hopefully very soon. Okay, guys, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure, and I wish you all the best. It's winter in the UK, so it's cold, dark, but I hope where you live it's much more sunny. So enjoy your day. See you, everyone. Thank you so much.